Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Please ensure to like, share, and subscribe. And also click the bell notification in the top right-hand corner to be made aware anytime I upload tutorials or videos to YouTube. All right, let's craft together. Hey guys, I wanted to come to you today and talk to you. So this tutorial is going to be for the new Cricut or Silhouette user. And so when you first purchase or whatever cutting machine you may have, because there's others out there besides Cricut and Silhouette. So when you first get your cutting machine, there's a lot of questions that may be going through your mind. Like, I keep hearing about vinyl. What is vinyl? They say I can use vinyl to do a t-shirt transfer. What is transfer tape? And things like that. So today I wanted to come on and speak to those that are new to the cutting machines. Okay, so I actually have the Cricut Maker. This is the top of the line for Cricut. I've had my machine for over 5 years now and never had any issues with it. Now that doesn't mean I haven't had any issues with Cricut Design Space, because I have, like many. But I love my Cricut Maker. The Cricut Maker for the Cricut is the most powerful machine because it cuts more materials. You have more options and things that you can do with the Cricut Maker than like the Explorer Air 2. But, you know, I say buy according to what works best for your budget, okay, because they're all good machines. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you. I want to start out talking about vinyl. Now, some may say, well, why do you want to talk about vinyl? We all know about vinyl. Well, no, we all don't, okay? So I want to explain to you about vinyl and what works for what type of projects and what happens when you put this in your cutting machine, what it will and will not do from Cricut Design Space. So this is some vinyl that I purchased from one of the craft stores. And this is actually iron-on vinyl. So this is the holographic sparkle iron-on mosaic vinyl. One of the things you're going to learn about vinyl is that there's more than one kind. And because there's more than one kind, that means that there's more, there are certain ways that you can use that particular vinyl, okay? So for example, this is iron-on vinyl. That means in order for me to be able to use this vinyl, I'm going to have to use an iron, an easy press, a heat press, something with heat will have to come into play for this particular vinyl. Now, I also have here, let's see if I have one. Okay, then I have some premium vinyl, and this one is permanent. So this is permanent vinyl. So this one requires heat. This one does not. Now, when you're looking at them in the containers just like this, if you're not paying attention to the verbiage on the front, you think they both do the same thing. So you may look at this and say, oh, I want to put that on a mug, and you may grab this because of the sparkly colors. But then you look, and this is for iron-on. So this one will work better for your mug than this one, okay? So this one I would think t-shirt transfer. If I wanted to iron it on a t-shirt. This one I would think if I wanted to put an image or some words on a coaster or a tumbler or a mug or a canvas or something like that, okay? So understanding that there's more than one type of vinyl. Now, in addition to a permanent vinyl, you also have a removable vinyl, okay? So if you know that you're going to be placing some vinyl somewhere temporarily and you want to be able to take it down without any issues, let's say, for example, a wall. You could be an apartment and you want to put, you know, faith, love, and hope up on your wall, but you know you only have a lease for a month and you don't want that vinyl to stay stuck to the wall, then you would use removable vinyl. Whereas if you purchased a home and you know that you want to leave this on your wall, until you're no longer in that home and God calls you home, then you might want to go with the permanent vinyl. Okay. Even if it's a house that you're buying, you may want to go with removable because we change up. We may want to change out the wording at some point in time, change our furniture around and things like that. So I just want to help you to understand. Now that you know that you have your iron-ons, which are your heat transfer vinyls, anytime you see HTV, H is in Harry, T is in Tom, V is in Victor, HTV, that means heat transfer vinyl. It's going to, you're going to require heat in order to use that vinyl, okay? That's one. Now you have your permanent vinyl. Does not require heat. It has transfer tape that I'll talk about here in just a moment that you'll use to help adhere this to whatever project or product you're going to put it on, okay? Then you also have a removable vinyl that can be temporary depending on what your needs are, okay? Which also will require transfer tape. Now, anytime you're working with HTV, heat transfer vinyl, you do not have to purchase transfer tape because there's transfer tape. It's going to be a thick, clear plastic on top of your vinyl, your HTV. That is your transfer tape. So you don't have to buy a separate transfer tape to go with HTV, okay? However, you do have to have transfer tape to go with permanent or removable vinyl, okay? Because otherwise, you would be sitting trying to peel off each individual letter or each image and then apply it to whatever you're going to put it on. So you want to get transfer tape. Now, this is transfer tape. This is transfer tape, and it's just clear plastic that you would take and put on top of your vinyl to get your vinyl from here onto this. And this has a sticky backing on it, so you can see it stuck to my finger. It has a sticky backing, so it's going to snatch that vinyl up onto it, and then you would take it once the vinyl's here, and you would apply it to whatever you're going to put it on. And I'm going to show you here in just a moment. Okay. With your transfer tape, you have different types of transfer tape. You have just a regular transfer tape, and then you have a strong grip. And you have to know when to use which one, because if you don't need a whole lot of grip and you use strong grip, you may not be able to get it off easily, okay? So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to your transfer tape and when to use it, okay? Because there's multiple kinds. You cannot use strong grip transfer tape for everything, okay? Because it will tear that vinyl up. All right, so I want to show you. This is vinyl that I got from a craft store. From a craft store, and I mean an actual vinyl store, okay? And so when you look at it, you can see that it has a really glossy kind of look to it. That's transfer tape. It's see-through. I can see straight through it to see that I have a glitter black color vinyl, okay? So that's my transfer tape. That transfer tape is not the same as this transfer tape. This transfer tape requires heat. This one does not, okay? All right, so that's how you'll be able to tell that this is HTV vinyl, because you're going to have a shiny side on one side, and then it's going to be matte looking, which this is the vinyl right here, and this is your transfer tape, okay? So on the front, it's going to be your transfer tape. On the back side of it is going to be the vinyl itself, okay? So that's how you can tell this is HTV. This is HTV. So if I were to take this out of the container, you would be able to see this thick plastic, clear plastic on top of this, because that's transfer tape, okay? Now, when you look at any heat transfer vinyl, you're going to notice glossy, matte, kind of dull. I want you to truly understand the difference between heat transfer. Shiny, glossy, that's your transfer tape. Matte, dull, that's your vinyl, okay? So it's very easy to identify heat transfer vinyl, guys. Very easy to identify it. It's going to have, most often, I'm not going to say always, but sometimes, more often than not, it's going to have a thicker feel to it than your permanent or removable vinyl. And that's because of that thick transfer tape that's on the top. Okay. Now, with your permanent and your removable vinyl, it's going to have like a kind of dull look to it. It's not as shiny. As you can see here, it's not as shiny as the heat transfer tape. I mean, as the HTV. Okay. So this is your removable vinyl. It's going to have the vinyl on the front side. There's no transfer tape. And on the back, it's going to have like a Cricut backing or a paper backing, something like that. Easily to identify that this does not require heat. If you put heat on here, it's going to melt. Okay. So you do not apply heat to permanent or removable vinyl. Okay. And your permanent and removable vinyl, it's always going to be the same. You're going to have the vinyl on one side, paper backing on the other side. It's no way you can mistake what side you should be using when it comes to your permanent or your HTV. Now this one has a shiny look to it, but this is also your permanent vinyl. This is not HTV. Okay. The way you can tell, even though it has that shiny glossy look, is because it has a paper backing. Okay. It has a paper backing. If it was HTV, you would see the vinyl here and not paper. Okay. So this, even though it has a shiny look to it, this is not HTV. This is permanent vinyl. Okay. So I'm just trying to help the new users to understand, because I do get a lot of questions about using vinyl and what it can and can't do. And a lot of people are confused. And I just want to make sure that in my group and on my YouTube channel that I help as many people as I can. Now, again, I have another vinyl that has a shiny look to it. Is it HTV or is it permanent or removable? The answer, okay, so anytime you have a paper backing, that is not heat transfer vinyl. Okay, that's either permanent or removable. Okay, so always remember that behind your HTV, you're going to see the vinyl. You're not going to see a paper backing. Okay, so hopefully I have broken that down to where it is clear enough for you. Now I'm going to talk to you about how you put it in the machine. Okay, so when you're working with your permanent or your removable vinyls, you are going to take, I'm just going to cut a little piece here. Just so you can see. So I'm going to be using my mat. So anytime you have your cutting machines, you're going to have a mat to get anything inside of your cutting machine. So I wouldn't just take this and lay it flat and put it in my machine. It has to be adhered to a mat. Now you're going to get mats, or you can find mats in all different colors. This green is just your standard grip mat. Okay, this is what most crafters use. It's the standard grip. You also have a purple mat, which is a light grip mat. If you don't need a lot of grip to whatever you're working on, then you can use the purple. You also have a light blue, which is for sewers or sewing. It's for fabric. Okay, that's your light blue. And then you also have, let's see, light blue. You have a pink. Let me make sure I got it right. Your pink, I think your pink is for your fabric, okay? And then your blue is for your light grip, and your purple is your strong grip. That's it. So I'm going to show you here in just a second. But this is your green mat. This is your standard. Guys, when you take your wrapping off of your mat, you're going to end up with this plastic. Always put this right back on when you're done, because underneath this, your mat is sticky. So hair, pet hair, anything will stick to this, and you don't want to end up with it all nasty and losing its stickiness because you have a bunch of crap stuck on it. So I always highly recommend, as soon as you finish using your mat, go ahead and put that plastic piece right back on top of it. Do not throw this plastic piece away. You don't want to leave your mat just laying around, you know, without the covering on it. Always put the top back on there. These things get dirty, and I hear a lot of crafters saying, how can I clean my mat? And over time, after you've put so many different chemicals on this mat, it's going to start to eat it away, and it's not going to have the stickiness that you once had. Now, I'm not going to go into all the cleaning methods that you can use to clean the mats because I don't want you to have to go through that. So I just want you to make sure you put your plastic piece back on it, and that way you can maintain the life or the duration of your mat without having to go through all that process. Okay. So when you're using permanent or removable vinyl, the color is going to be facing you. So you would place that wherever it needs to go on your mat. Most people use that top left-hand corner to place it, but you would just put your permanent or removable vinyl down just like that. Okay, and you see how it's stuck to the mat? You want to make sure it sticks to the mat, and then you would put it into your machine. Now, what I want to tell you, I'm going to give you a good example here. Hopefully, this is a good example, or at least I think it is. So, I want you to understand here, guys, that it does not matter what color, when I'm using this type of vinyl, it doesn't matter what color I select in Cricut Design Space, okay? And I'm going to show you why here, but I want to be able to give you a good example. I'm trying to be careful with these scissors. These are Cricut scissors, and they will cut the bejesus out of you, so you want to be careful. Okay. It doesn't matter what I select in Cricut Design Space as far as colors. So if I was putting the name Doris, I wanted the letters Doris to cut out in green and then Edwards to cut out in gray, okay? I could, in Cricut Design Space, indicate Doris green, Edwards gray, and that way Cricut knows that there's a color change, okay? It may tell you a green mat for the green and then a gray mat for the gray unless you're doing layering. And we're not going to talk about that right now. That's a whole nother ball game. So basically what the colors would indicate is that Cricut is telling you to go ahead and put your green vinyl down, put it in the machine, cut out the words Doris, take that off, put your gray on, or if you have a second mat, put that gray on your second mat, slide your second mat in, and then it's going to cut out Edwards. It's only to indicate that there's a color change. It is not to tell Cricut what color to um, to print, because it's not going to do any print in this situation. It's only going to do cutting. It is not printing anything. Okay, nothing is going to your printer. I can't stress it enough that when you're doing a cut project, there is nothing going to your printer. So whatever color vinyl you put in that cutting machine, that's what color your image or your words are going to be. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Cricut Design Space. I'm going to show you how, if you're using the permanent or removable vinyl, I'm going to show you how you would do so. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to go into Cricut Design Space and have it to print something to cut something for me. All right. So I'm just going to go into Cricut Design Space, and I'm just going to type my name, like I said, Doris. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on Make It. And I'm going to go ahead and have Cricut to cut this for me. Now, in Cricut Design Space, you want to tell Cricut what type of material you're using. And I'm using vinyl, just a plain old vinyl, nothing special. So for my material, I'm going to select vinyl. And now, my Cricut Maker, it has a flashing light. That flashing light is to let me know. You can see that light flashing. That flashing light is to let me know my machine is ready for the mat. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slide my mat in. and press that flashing light. Okay, just like that. And then the Cricut logo will then start to flash. You can see my finger here. And then I'm just going to push that so that it can go ahead and feed the mat on in to the machine, and then it's going to cut it for me. This is permanent or removable vinyl. Don't know which one. It doesn't really matter because they both work the same at this point. Once it's done cutting, the light will then flash again on my machine, indicating that it can now be removed. And I'll press that and it'll release the mat from my machine. You don't just pull this out of your machine, okay? And it will slide it out for you. All right, so now once you have your letters cut out in your vinyl, I always tell people pull your mat backwards. Pull your mat backwards, pull your mat backwards. And that's so that this doesn't end up all rolled up towards the front like that when you pull the mat backwards. Now, remember I said once you're done with your cutting, you want to go ahead and you want to place your plastic back on your mat. Okay, just like that. And as you can see on my wall, I have mats hanging, and I would highly recommend just take something where you can actually just take and stick these back on the wall so you can have them hanging. You know, again, guys, you want to do everything you can to prolong the life of your mat so that you don't have to worry about all those cleaning methods, because over time they are going to eat away at the stickiness on your mat. Okay. All right. So I have Doris. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let's see. I'm not sure. You might be able to see a little bit. But what I'm going to do is you always want to cut away from the excess vinyl. And I can actually see the lettering here. So this is excess vinyl now. I can put that back to use at a different time. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is you need to weed away the excess so that you can see Doris. Okay. You're not just going to start picking up the letters and putting them on whatever it is. There is a process. So the next thing I'm going to use is my weeding tool. This is another Cricut tool, and you can buy these in bundles where it's going to come with the weeding tool, the scissors, your spatula, your tweezers, all that good stuff. So all I'm doing is just taking my weeding tool and pulling up on the vinyl so that I can get to the excess. Okay. And I'm just going to pull away the excess just like that. So you can see there's the D and the O, and there's the R, the I, and there's the S. So this now becomes trash. Okay, don't need that. So put that there. Now I'm going to go in and weed the inside of the D and the O. So I'm just going to remove using my weeding tool. I'm just going to pull that inside of that O out so you can see it as a complete letter. Okay, and again, that goes along with the trash. And then I'm going to pull the inside of the D out. Now again, guys, if you have been doing and using your cutting machines for years, you may learn something from this video, but this is more for those that are new to the cutting machine. Okay, Doris. Okay, now I'm just going to take this and I'm going to take a little piece of my transfer tape. Now, normally you would cut the transfer tape down to the size that you need it. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and pull off a little bit to expose a little bit of the transfer tape. And then I'm going to take and stick this on to the transfer tape. Just like that. Okay. You do not pull the letters up individually. Now, you also have your spatula that you can then use. And you want to just take and use that spatula to try to flatten the letters to the transfer tape, because you want the letters to now come off the vinyl backing and stick to your transfer tape. Okay. So you're varnishing the vinyl onto the transfer tape, and then you try to lift it up to see if the letters are now stuck to your transfer tape. And the little dot on the I wants to kind of hang around, so I'm just going to kind of press that down a little bit. Sometimes you may have to use your fingers to kind of help you get it to stick. Okay, so now I have the vinyl paper backing that I can just throw in the trash. Nothing I need with that. And now I have Doris stuck onto my transfer tape, ready to apply it to whatever I'm going to put it on. So guys, you do not have to pull these letters up individually. The transfer tape is to help you to remove the words or the image from the vinyl paper backing onto your transfer tape. And now you're ready. Go ahead and apply this to whatever you're going to apply it to. So I'm just going to take this mug here that I've already played around with before. And you always want to measure. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details about that, but you always want to measure how much space you have and how much space to work with. And it's always good to use some alcohol and kind of wipe down your surface before you apply your vinyl, because that will help it to adhere to whatever you're placing it on. But since this is just to show you, I'm not going through all those steps. So I'm just going to take and apply the words directly to the mug, just like that. And you see how it's holding on to the mug now because the transfer tape has stickiness. I'm going to use this same spatula to get the letters now to stick to the mug and come off of the transfer tape. Okay, so I'm just using my spatula to varnish the letters onto my coffee mug, just like that. Okay, and then you're going to pull away the transfer tape. And there you have it. Now Doris is on my coffee mug. I'm going to take my transfer tape, pull it right back over the paper, and it's ready to go for the next time. Okay. Now again, normally you would cut the transfer tape to the size that you need it based on what you're working with, but because I'm just using this for teaching purposes, I didn't want to cut my transfer tape, but you would normally cut it to make it easier on yourself. And now I have Doris on my coffee mug. Okay. So that is how you can use your permanent or your removable vinyl, guys, along with your transfer tape. Remember, it doesn't matter what color I select in Cricut Design Space. I can select black, pink, blue, purple, red. It doesn't matter. It's not going to cut out in that color, okay? It's going to cut out in the color vinyl that you place in the machine, okay? So I wanted to walk through that process because some people are under the impression or not under the impression of how to truly use your vinyls. Okay. Notice it didn't require any heat or anything like that. It's all between the vinyl and the transfer tape because you're working with a permanent or a removable vinyl. Okay, that's it. All right, so that's it for that process. Now, what I'm going to show you is you're working with your heat transfer vinyl. So if I were to do that same process with my heat transfer vinyl, I'm going to show you the difference in using your heat transfer vinyl versus your HTV. All right, so I cut a little piece of my heat transfer vinyl. We know that it's HTV because it has the clear plastic transfer tape on the front of it, and then the matte vinyl backing on the back side. You could still use your same mat, still using the green mat. This time, your shiny side is going to go face down on your mat. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that face down. And because this is glitter HTV, sometimes it'll still pop up. And so I normally put some little tape to kind of help me to keep it laying down. But if I now go in and I'm going to tell Cricut to cut out Doris again. And not the words Doris again, but just the word Doris again. Okay. So this time I'm going to click on Make It in Cricut Design Space. And because I'm working with HTV, I'm going to select the mirror option. There's going to be a little radio button on the left-hand side of your inside Cricut Design Space. And you're going to select mirror. Anytime you're working with HTV, you must mirror. If you do not mirror, excuse me, your image or your words are going to be backwards and you can't fix it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to mirror and then I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. And then when my next screen comes up, I'm going to tell Cricut Design Space that I am working with a medium cardstock. Now, you all are probably saying, but you're not working with medium cardstock. Well, one of the things you're going to find, guys, when you start working with some of the materials, you have to play around with different material settings because some of them don't work like we hope they would. And sometimes you can select glitter HTV and it doesn't cut, you know, and you can't see where your cut marks are. So for me, it works to use medium cardstock, okay? So I'm going to put this on medium cardstock, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it in my machine. And you can't see anything now, but I'm going to show you the difference when I put this in my machine and get it to cut. So again, my Cricut machine is flashing. The double arrows is an indication that Cricut is ready for me to insert my mat. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my mat. And then the Cricut logo will start to blink or flash to go ahead and insert the mat all the way into the machine so that it can prepare to cut. Okay, so it's now going to cut out Doris. HTV glossy side goes down, face down on the mat. The matte side, the dull side, is going to be facing you. Okay, you always wait till the machine is double flashing the double arrows to release. And now I just take the mat out. Okay. All right, so you just saw me use the same mat for permanent vinyl or removable vinyl and HTV. And now I have Doris cut out, and hopefully you guys can see it. I can definitely feel it. So I'm just going to roll my mat backwards. And that's to keep this from curling up like that. Okay. Again, once you're done with your cutting, go ahead and place the plastic back on to your mat, again, to help preserve the life of your mat. and make sure it's fully covered. All right, so our mat is done. Now, let me take this tape off because I don't need it on here. Same process, guys, that I did with the permanent vinyl. Same process. And what you guys can see is you can actually see Doris cut out. Okay, so I can see it perfectly. Hopefully you can see it. I can also see it on the back. I can see where my cuts are. And that's because I use medium cardstock. Okay. Now you're going to use the same process. I'm going to cut away the excess vinyl. And that'll be used at another time. I'm going to use my weeding tool again. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull away the excess vinyl. So you guys can see here, there is my I and my S. There's my R, my O, and my D. You saw how easy that was. Okay, and now I'm going to go in and weed away the insides. Being careful because this tool will hurt. Uh-oh. And there I have it. So there's Doris. Okay, so now I will put this on my shirt. Hold on one second. I would put this on my shirt or wherever. And then I would take and iron it on. And once I iron it on, it's just going to be the clear plastic by itself, but the letters will be stuck to my shirt. So I'm not going to walk through that process, but this is ready to iron on. Okay. Now, if you did not mirror, this is the direction your letters will be. Okay. This is the direction your letters will be, which will be backwards. And they will not be any good. So anytime you're using HTV, heat transfer vinyl, you want to make sure to mirror the image. Okay. In Cricut Design Space, you want to mirror so that when you lay it face down and iron it on, it's going to be going in the right direction. Had I not mirrored, it would be on my shirt like this, D-O-R-I-S, with all the letters backwards. It looks like it's not backwards to you, but it is. Okay, so that is the difference, guys, between using heat transfer vinyl, permanent vinyl, removable vinyl, helping you to understand what they look like from one side to the other side, when to use transfer tape, when you don't have to use this kind of transfer tape. But I wanted to make sure that that is clear to you guys. So it doesn't matter when I'm using vinyl, HTV, or permanent or removable vinyl. It doesn't matter what color I select in Cricut Design Space. Okay, the colors are just to indicate if you have a color change, then you're going to put the next color vinyl in. But using heat transfer vinyl, permanent vinyl, or removable vinyl is not dictating color. As far as what color Cricut is not going to be putting any color on this for you. It's only going to cut it for you. Okay, silhouette, same thing. It's only going to cut it for you. So that's what I wanted to do here today, is to help you to understand the difference. So when you're in the stores and you see all these beautiful vinyls, to understand the difference. Anything that requires heat, like I can't take this. I can't take this and get it to adhere to the mug. Can't take this and put it on the mug like I did with the previous and use my weeding tool and get it to stay. So I can do this all day long. Just like I did with the permanent or the removable vinyl. I can do this all day long. Okay. And then when I get ready to lift it, it's not going to stick because it requires heat. Okay. So that's what I wanted you to understand is the difference between anything that says HTV, it requires heat in order for it to work. Now, I don't want you to go out and buy HTV to put on a mug. I want you to get permanent or removable vinyl for your mug and get your HTV for your shirts. You know, you may want to iron it on a canvas. I don't know. But this is not the appropriate vinyl, okay? I will come back, if not today, maybe tomorrow, and talk to you about fabric transfer, or talk you through a video that I've already created on pen and gear fabric transfer, because I don't want to recreate the process like I'm doing here. I just felt that it was necessary because I do want to make sure that if you're in my group, I'm doing you a disservice if I don't help you to understand the difference between these things, because I have been now working with my crafting cutting machine now, like I said, for over 5 years, going on 6 now. And I want to help you to avoid some of the mistakes that I made when I first started out and just went in all willy-nilly and bought that Cricut cutting machine and didn't know what I was doing and was depending on people to teach me. And people were looking at me like, what? You went and bought a cutting machine, don't even know what you do with it? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right. So guys, I hope that helps. Let me just make sure that I got my mats right here because I know I was giving colors. And I want to make sure that we got our colors right. So we know our green is our standard grip. That's just a standard grip. And I'm going to show you what happens to your mats over time when you don't take care of them. This is what happens. And any of you that have been around for a while, you know exactly what I mean by this is what happens. There's no stickiness to this mat whatsoever. No stickiness to it whatsoever. And I just keep it for illustrative purposes, just to let people see what happens to your mats over time. Okay. And notice that there's no, the clear piece that I tell you to put back on your mat. I don't even know where that is. I probably threw it away the day that I opened it along with this one. So these are the no-nos. So your purple mat is your strong grip. Okay. So when you need, let's say that you were doing like a puzzle, if you were creating a puzzle, then I would tell you to use your strong grip, okay? Even though my strong grip is no longer strong. But again, I want to show you, these are my mats that I keep around so I can tell people this is why I tell you to protect your mats, okay? So that's your strong grip. You also have your larger mats. This is a 12 by 24 for your bigger projects. And then you also have your light blue. And your light blue is your light grip, okay? When you don't need a whole lot of grip for the particular project, that's your light grip. And then you also have your pink, and your pink is for your fabric, okay? So I wanted to help you guys understand that there's different mats out there. I would highly recommend, if you are considering getting a cutting machine, is to get the green mat, okay? If you can't afford to get multiple mats right now, start out with at least the green mat and then, you know, go up from there based on the types of projects that you're doing. If you have the green and then a purple, then you would be in good hands to start out. Over time, after you go from green to purple, I would highly recommend a 12 by 24 because trust me, you are going to want to be able to do larger projects at some point in time. So I would highly recommend to get you a larger mat. And like I said, just take a nail. I just put a little nail up on the wall and I hang all my mats on the wall now. And once I decide to go out and buy a new purple, a new blue mat, then I will take care of them like I'm telling you to take care of yours by making sure you are using that plastic once you're done, putting that plastic piece back over it. So let me put these back. Hold on. I got all my mats up there, now hanging back on the wall. And so the reason I say that at some point in time, you will want to learn to do large projects. You can see the two little girls with the black and white shirts on. That's a project that I did where I wanted to go larger than a 12 by 12. And so I used the bigger mat. Now I could have done it all in Microsoft PowerPoint without having to change the sizing. But in Cricut Design Space, you're limited when it comes to a print and cut. You're limited on the sizing. So that's why I sliced it to get the larger one. But anyway, that's what I wanted to come on, guys, today and make sure that I'm not doing my group or my YouTubers on my channel a disservice by not helping you to understand your cutting machine. I will come back on, like I said, and talk about fabric transfers or talk through a video that I've already created on fabric transfers to help you understand that. And also to talk about when you're using your, I drew a blank, when you're using your sticker paper and your printable vinyl. So there is such a thing called printable vinyl, where the color you select in Cricut Design Space will matter because that will be the color that will be sent to your printer for it to print out, but it is not a color that is printing from your cutting machine. Your cutting machine does not fill in color. Okay? It will draw, but it does not fill in color. Okay? Not like that. All right, and just knowing the difference between when you need to use transfer tape that you have to buy separately, and HTV already has its own transfer tape, so you would never use HTV with this type of transfer tape, okay? And then when you're ironing on, I'm going to give you a couple of tips about ironing on. When you're ironing on, guys, you cannot use an ironing board and an iron by itself, okay? You cannot. It is not going to work. You will be ironing forever. Not forever, but forever. And then you'll be pinging someone saying, this stuff is not ironing on, and that's because that is a no-no, okay? If you have an ironing board and you want to use your ironing board, I'm going to use this as an example. This is my ironing board. You want to take and put a piece of wood on top of that ironing board. So you're going to have ironing board, a piece of wood, and then you want to put like pillowcase or something like that on top of the wood. Then you're going to put your t-shirt, and then you're going to lay your fabric transfer on top of it. Okay? If you do this, ironing board with your pillowcase, and then put this down directly on top of that, or on your t-shirt, directly on that ironing board, is never going to work. Never going to work. Okay? Trust me, it's not going to work. You can go to like Lowe's or Home Depot and just buy a piece of wood. It doesn't have to be that big, just enough size to fit on your ironing board. I would say like a little 12 by 12 or something like that piece of wood. And put that on top of your ironing board. Put it on top of your ironing board, then cover that wood, and then put your t-shirts or whatever on top of that. And then use your ironing board. Then use your iron to iron it on. You can do that. So if you're not financially able to go out and buy a heat press or easy press or anything like that, then you can use the ironing board with a piece of wood. And then the last thing I'm going to show you . All right, so you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money, guys, to get a heat press or easy press. You can use your iron. This is like my favorite. And I bought this at Walmart for less than $12, okay? And it is the perfect little iron to use for your fabric transfers. Now, I want to tell you, when you're doing your fabric transfers, guys, you're not ironing clothes. So you're not doing this. You're not ironing clothes, okay? You want to apply that iron, let it sit, pick it up, move it to the next side, pick it up, move it to the next side. That's how you do iron on. You're not ironing clothes. You're not, okay? and get to know the difference between, there's a lot of sites out there to tell you when you do a cold peel versus a hot peel. That means that once you iron it on, do you have to let it cool before you peel it off, or can you peel it off warm? Okay. This is the wood that I use. This came from an old little cabinet like thing that I had that I no longer have, and I was getting ready to trash it. And I was like, I can use that piece of wood for my iron-ons. So this is the piece of wood that I use, guys. It may look familiar, but I just lay this directly on top of my ironing board. Then I cover it with a sheet or a pillowcase, and then I just put my t-shirts on top of it, put my fabric down, my fabric transfer down, and then I iron it. Okay. Again, you're not ironing clothes like this. You want to apply pressure and steady heat. Pressure, steady heat. Pressure, steady heat with your iron. This is not the process. Okay. And if you see people using heat press or easy press, they're not constantly doing this. They lay it down and they let it sit. Same concept with your iron. Okay. So stop trying to iron on, as if you were ironing clothes. That's not the proper method. All right. So I said that was the last thing, but it wasn't. So that's your iron, to help those of you that may want to, you're not financially able to go out and buy heat press or easy press right now. Just get you one of these little $12 irons. The other thing is all of these tools that I'm showing you are Cricut tools. You can get them in a bundle, just like I did. So all of these came together. Okay. So it came with a stylus. It also came with my little tweezers. It came with my Cricut scissors, my spatula, my weeding tool, and this is another scraper. The bigger one, but I lost that a long time ago. I don't know where it is, but it came with a longer scraper. But this is a scraper. This is to help get the vinyl to adhere to the transfer tape. You could use this, or you could use the spatula. Okay, so if ever you are deciding to purchase a cutting machine, I just want to help you to understand that a lot of people will say, should I buy the bundle? If you can afford to get the bundle, I will say yes, because it's going to save you from going out buying these things separately. Okay. So sometimes you will find the cutting machine along with a few of the tools, and maybe a few rolls of vinyl. Go for it. Okay. Or it may come with cardstock. Okay. So just wanted to help you guys understand that I'm here for you. And I want to make sure that I do my best to help you become the best crafter that you can be. Now, I'm by far not the best, but I want to help you to be the best if I can. All right, guys, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Again, I always like to say, if you're currently in my Facebook group, Candors's Cricut Creative Crafters, I know that's a mouthful. I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of my Facebook group. I have almost 800 members in my group, and some may say, well, why is your group so small? Because it's private. That's why. And I'm not going to make it public. Okay. I don't want just a bunch of people in my group just to say I have 34,000 people in my group, but none of them are really doing anything in the group. I'd rather have a small group that participates and is there to help other people. And when questions are asked, those people will answer your questions. That's the group that I am trying to create. Okay. So that's Candors's Cricut Creative Crafters. If you would like to join my group, send me a Facebook group request to Candors's Cricut Creative Crafters. Facebook group, not Facebook page. Okay. And if you are currently subscribed to my YouTube channel, thank you guys so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. And if you are not subscribed and this is the first time that you're seeing me and you like my method of teaching, then please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I do appreciate all of you. If there's anything that I did not answer about the vinyl process, then please let me know, and I will attempt to answer those questions for you. I never want you to feel like you're not getting the help that you need. As times I will tell you, I do ask a lot of questions because I'm working in the blind. I can't see what you're doing. I don't know what's up on your screen, and not, if I can't see your screen, I can look at your screen and say that's why it's not working. But if I can't see your screen, I'm going to have to ask you a lot of questions. So don't get upset when I ask a lot of questions. I'm not being nosy. I just want to make sure I have enough information to help you to be able to get your project created. Okay. All right, guys, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. As always, each one reach one so that each one can teach one. And you guys have a great day. Bye bye.